Good evening. Today is May 24th. I'm making this video. It's it's a little after 9 p.m. EST, so New York time. I'm a freelancer on Upwork. I came across your ad for fundraising for a VC fund for startups in Kenya, and it had me I was curious. So I read the ad and I noticed that you posted this 2 weeks ago and you have not interviewed anyone so far. And I can see that you're located in the US. So the reason why I came across also this came up on my board, I guess, is because so even though I am US based, I'm also African by birth. So my network extends to Africa, specifically Rwanda, which is Kenya's neighbor. And I am in the startup space, also trying to fund companies in Rwanda. So that's why it probably came up on my it came up to my attention. So I don't know if this is your first time fundraising for Africa. Um, but so the fundraising space is very competitive. It's competitive because we have US startups competing for funding from VC firms here in the US already. So to try to jump in that pool and to fundraise for a business concern in Africa is going to be triple, if not quadruple, more difficult. So there are certain things that you should think about, and I'm happy to talk to you also. Hopefully, once you watch this video, you might be interested. I see that you haven't been on Upwork in 2 weeks, so I hope that this will bring you back to Upwork because even though what you're looking for specifically might not be on Upwork, I think you and I um, probably could work together because I am also in the startup space. So going back to the competitiveness of startup funding, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be a process. So I do see here that you have a preliminary deck. I'm very interested to see it. Um, just letting you know that it's going to take more than a deck. So for US VC firms to send their money to Africa, um, it's done in a couple of ways. So funding goes to Africa as aid, or there are circles of angel investors or foundations that fund African businesses as impact funding, which is really more like nonprofit funding. Because when it comes to a business, um, it's you should look at how much profit, how many customers do you have, what's your growth rate, what's your potential, what's the profit margin. Whereas investing is how many lives can you affect in a positive way, which has nothing to do with business. So if you actually have a business in Kenya, I would recommend that you have a co-founder or two or three that are based here in America. I would also recommend that you register a company in America, because for VCs to send money to your African company directly, that's going to be a barrier. They will invest in a company here that has they will invest in the main company here, and then whatever the main company here does, including fundraising and blah, 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 for maybe a branch in Kenya, that's fine. And it's easier. So get co-founders, register a company here in America, which I don't know if you've done that, but I can help you do that as well. I'm a registered agent in my state. Um, and then from there, you're going to have to the deck. Okay, so the deck that you have is going to be one amongst thousands and thousands and thousands. So I can't really give you much of or more detail until I take a look at the deck. I see here that you're willing to pay 50 to 75 hourly. My rate is much, much lower. And again, I do have experience in the startup space. I do have experience in the startup space in Rwanda, which is next door to Kenya. Depending on what your deck looks like, I'm always happy to do work for stock as opposed to wages. If that's not something you want to do, happy to just take the hourly rate. So hopefully I'll hear from you. My name is Claire Sengyumva. Um, Best of luck. And that was just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you as to why you didn't have a lot of feedback or proposals so far. But keep at it and definitely just understand it's going to be a difficult process. It doesn't just take a deck. They will look at the founders um, of the company. You have to have founders that are American. If you're if you want VC funding from America, and depending on what your company's about, it's going to get a little more complicated. And the fundraising process can take up to really it's I see here that you have this post was for a month, I think. Less than a month because you want the freelancer to review to build a fundraising deck. So even though you have the fundraising deck, you have to have conversations upon conversations upon conversations upon presentations upon networking and yada 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 for a long time. So this can take you more than a year if you have someone that is specifically reaching out every day. Within a year, you can get a certain amount of funding. But if you're hiring part-time and you have different tasks for each freelancer that you're hiring, it's going to take longer than a year. And again, this is for um, companies here in America. So if you want to fundraise for companies in Africa, it's even more difficult. But I'm happy to do this to help you fundraise because again, I'm doing the same thing for startups in Rwanda, so I'm a little bit familiar. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you and best of luck.